I'm Duncan McLeod, and this is TechCentral's TCS Plus, the business technology show where we talk to leaders in the ICT industry. I'm joined in studio now by Alexa Bisschops. She is co-founder and CEO at a new data consultancy called Calybre. That's Calybre spelt with a Y instead of an I. Alexa, welcome.
Thanks, Duncan. It's great to be here today.
Thanks for joining me. Tell me a bit about Calybre. What's the thinking behind this new business and what is its mission?
Yeah, so we started just over a year ago. The three founders had some ideas about what we thought we should do in this space. So we love the data space. We've always been really passionate about data consulting and the technology space. And from our experience, we knew also that this was a scarce skills market. So looking at things that were going on in the world and the way technology is progressing, we felt that if we created a business that was focused completely on data, so on the breadth of the data domain, that we were doing something that we absolutely love, we're really passionate about, and it's obviously a great space to be in at this time in the world.
Good. You mentioned there are three of you. Who are your partners in this venture?
So Grant van der Wal is our chairman, and Ryan Jamieson, he's actually based in the UK, is our CTO.
Okay. And what is your background, Alexa? Tell us a bit about your career.
Okay, so I've been primarily in operations, although I started out as a data consultant. So, but that was 30 years ago. So, long time in different consulting companies in the UK and then in Holland. But I grew up in South Africa, so I absolutely love primarily the weather here, but there's a lot more about the country that I love. So I came back here in the early 2000s and then continued my career here. I joined ICE Partners in the middle of 2009, actually, and then moved into an operational role. So I was responsible very much for running the consulting business. The consultants reported into me and really making sure that we delivered properly to our customers, we had the right teams, and we were obviously profitable as a business as well.
Okay, good. So you describe Calybre as a next-generation consulting company. What does that mean exactly, and why is it important?
Yeah, so next gen, and that's how we see ourselves. We obviously come out of a traditional consulting space. And when we look at a next generation company, we're really saying, there's a lot that we've learned from all of the years of being in a consulting practice, which I think is a common situation. It doesn't matter which type of consulting you're doing, but obviously there are expectations of consulting companies. And we just thought, the world is changing and a next generation company goes along with that change. So to really then be part of that difference that we can bring. So if we look at traditional consulting practices, obviously there's huge success in consulting companies. So we've taken a lot of the learnings that we had from our past experiences and we've said, where were the pain points? So how could we do things differently and address the challenges that we faced and often that our customers ended up feeling? So very often you pass that on to your customer, that their frustration then becomes something that you either can or cannot deal with in a consulting company. So we're trying to address those challenges head on. And sometimes it's exciting. It's also sometimes really challenging to think differently and bring something different to the market with Calybre.
All right. So maybe take us through a client engagement and how it would differ to a traditional consulting company, how you'd approach that engagement and how you'd work differently with that company as opposed to a traditional consultant.
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think that if I focus on one of the primary issues that we always had as a consulting company, and I'm sure it will resonate, most consulting companies will have this huge allergy to having people on the bench. So you kind of say the word bench, it's like, oh my goodness. I get people asking me now as well, how big is your bench? And the primary difference with Calybre is that we will always have a bench and we need to have a bigger bench. So if I go back to my days of resourcing and trying to then give the best people to whatever the requirement was from a customer, what would happen would be you would go into a sales cycle, there would be an agreement, this is what we need to deliver, and that would then land with the delivery team to say, please can you put people on this so that we can deliver the best work to the customer. But in that moment, you are not necessarily able to give that customer the very best people because you don't have them available. They're busy doing other work. So that is a typical consulting paradigm that you're not carrying a huge amount of people on the bench. What we are saying now is we want to give our customers a choice. So we've forward invested in people. We've actually spent the last year building up our teams. We've got 60 consultants right now. and really focusing on making sure we have the best data skills so that when a customer lands with us, we can say, okay, you've got a choice. And that choice then becomes, I can look at what is their background, how much experience do they have, what is their actual skill set, and how does that align to what I want to do, where are they based, because we're a remote company, and also then how do they fit into my culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so why the data space specifically? I mean, obviously you've got an interest and expertise in that area, but why is that area particularly exciting for Calybre?
Yeah, so we see data as a future skill. I think looking at the way technology is changing, I know there's also a lot of stress around AI, and is that going to change the nature of everybody's jobs? So we think it probably will. In fact, it definitely will. But the opportunities that it brings are what excites us. Mm-hmm. So rather than seeing it as a constraint and saying, okay, we're going to lose our jobs, we're looking at it as a way of fast-tracking the work that we would have done. So a lot of the grunt work, or the work that I suppose we've been building on for the last 30 years, in the olden days it would take us a year to build a basic data warehouse. Whereas now we can automate those things. We can use tools that allow us to get to a place of delivery much more quickly. And then I think it challenges your human brain, the creativity that a person brings to the table. Mm-hmm. We will be able to really accelerate with that and look at then questions that we never were able to ask because we were so busy delivering, that basic foundational platform. We're now able to think differently. Mm-hmm. And that is really what excites us about the world of data. It's still seen as a top need from Gartner. If we look at statistics around the world, the global skills expectation is that there will be many more roles needed than are currently being produced. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely still a scarce skill. Okay.
So how would a company measure their return on investment if they engage with Calybre? What are they typically looking to get out of that engagement?
I love that question, Duncan. So I think, if we look at consulting, very often what happens is the investment will be predefined. So what will happen is a company will say, we want you to come in and deliver X, and this is how much money they have as a budget to deliver that. And we've actually looked at that and we've said that's actually a pity that we come in with that type of limitation in the beginning. And we really want to be in a position that we can say to our customers, can you challenge us to expect more from us? So how we could give that return on investment would be to say there's a minimum, there's a satisfactory average that everybody should be able to deliver. But if we go beyond that and we really push ourselves, so technically and also from a thought process perspective, can we get our customers to expect more from us and then actually get more from that investment? So we actually believe that building that trust with the customer comes from them knowing that if I invest in this, I'm going to get a return on my investment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's more of a strategic engagement at management level than your typical consulting engagement?
Yes, so we would want a long relationship with our customers. Ideally, we would love to go on the journey. We'd love that opportunity to be able to go on a journey with our customers. We can offer skills at all levels. So we expect to be able to augment a customer's team. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also a key point because very often a customer has already decided on their architecture. They've put a lot of money into deciding, okay, I'm on this platform, these are the tools that I have, and then looking at what is the next step that we need to take as a team, but they maybe don't have the expertise or the capacity to get that done in the time frame that the business needs. Mm-hmm. And that's where we can come in and work alongside them. So we really will put our people in as our customers' people. Yes. We have the saying, our people are your people. Yes. And we'll walk that journey with you.
Okay. So I guess this is really a skills business. In many cases, I'm imagining, though, that you bring in skills into the organization, those skills probably learning on the job as well as it goes along. Yeah. But they get involved in key projects, and those people actually become quite integral to those organizations. How do you manage that sort of situation? Because I imagine a lot of your clients end up saying, well, actually, we'd like to hire these guys you've put in.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot in that. So I'm going to try and just break that down. Okay. So yes, we are continually developing skills. So one of the things about Calybre as well is that we haven't attached to a single platform. So we are agnostic from a technology perspective. We also see the space changing continually. And that is also a challenge for many consultants, right? They get assigned to a customer. They're then embedded in that customer. 2 years later, they pop out and the world has changed, and now they're saying, okay, now I've got to catch up all my skills and really do some learning to get to the point that I'm now relevant again. So we build in continual learning for everybody for the entire journey that people are with Calybre. So that's part of our investment in our people. We keep aside a percentage of their time, and that time we'll use to make sure that they are skilled in whatever our customer requires. So obviously bringing in the breadth of the data domain is huge. And we look at that changing all the time. What a specific customer needs could be very, very specific. So a lot of customers also have proprietary tools. When we land in that customer, we would then invest some time in making sure that the people that are attached to that customer learn those tools. So that's part of
the employees of that company.
No, our people.
Your people.
So if we've landed our people in their team, then we would say, okay, so this is what their landscape looks like. This is the architecture and the tools that they're currently using, and then make sure that the people that are chosen to work with that customer would actually get those skills if they didn't have them already. Because obviously a lot of the base skills we would already have built up. When a person has been in the customer for a very long time, and there are scenarios, I think all consulting companies experience this, where the consultant falls in love with that customer, the customer falls in love with the consultant. We don't want to stand in their way. So if we get to that point, then we would absolutely say, let's work out how we can allow you to move forward with that customer. There are ways that you can do that. Yeah. And because we're then building our team constantly, so like I said earlier, we would have a bench always. We're always looking at bringing more people into our team. So it becomes more of an abundance mindset than saying that we really need to hold on to all of those consultants, although we love it when they want to stay with us, obviously.
Okay. Is there anything you don't do specifically? Anything
that isn't data, we don't do. So we are 100% focused on the data domain.
It's still such a broad area, though.
It's huge. Yeah, so it is huge. I think, again, looking at that, what we've seen so far is we'll look at where the need is. So we're hearing a lot about the need for data strategy, traditional data structures that need to be put in place. We will still be able to do that. Data governance is still a hot topic. So we'll look at whatever the customer needs and make sure that we can get alignment to that. If you said in data, is there anything that we don't do? Probably data entry would be something we would shy away from. But if we're looking at analytics and data science, our roles are typically data engineering, data analytics, data science, and then data governance, data strategy.
And protecting data and security?
Security is a huge topic at the moment. So we definitely see that as part of the future. And that is definitely a specialization that we have. We're building with our people,
Okay. Now, you say you want to position yourself as the best partner for any company's data people.
Yeah.
Are there specific industries that you focus on?
Not really. And again, being consultants, I think you always remain agnostic from an industry perspective. We have a really strong focus on readiness. So part of what is important to us is landing in a customer with some knowledge already so that we can fast track our consultants. So we've worked on a number of readiness programs so that we can prepare consultants when they go in, that they understand the industry or the function. So, for instance, the Office of Finance or the Office of the head HR, whatever it may be that they need to work on, they would come with some knowledge already. And we've got frameworks in place that enable them to do that.
Mm-hmm. And is it a global business, or are you focused on the South African market specifically?
So actually global. So Ryan Jamieson is based in the UK. He's our CTO. And we set out from the beginning saying we want to be a global business. And we've also, for the past, very long time, have been in South Africa, so we understand the South African market. I'm obviously in South Africa, and the bulk of our team is in South Africa.
Okay.
But being remote, and also then this is the post-COVID world, right? I mean, we'd seen that coming for years before that, but I think that fast tracking of that acceptance that you can actually deliver work from afar is something that we've really experienced in the last probably 4 years now.
Yeah.
And then leveraging that allows us to have feet on the ground in whichever country we are in. So, for instance, in the UK, where our headquarters is, we will have senior feet on the ground who are able to then land in a customer in person. But then we want the majority of the work to be delivered from South Africa. So that gives us that labour arbitrage leverage as well.
Okay. And if you're not present in a market and there's a client interested in engaging with you, would you go and see that client in that country?
Very happy to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's also really nice, right? I mean, I think a lot of South Africans like the idea of working abroad. And a lot of what we do is thinking about what is the opportunity that we can give to people. So people not only in Calybre, to the consultants that we have, but also the opportunity to our customer of being able to work with really great data people. And I think that's where you start to break those global boundaries down so that we should be able to work in any territory. I think most consultants would probably be very happy to hop on a plane and spend some time in a foreign country.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned you're tech vendor agnostic, but I believe you do partner with tech companies, including Google, amongst others.
Yes, we have done that.
Maybe just expand on that a little bit and who you work with.
Yeah, so we have a very strong background in Microsoft. So Microsoft has formed part of the basic in terms of our foundation for all of our consultants. But we've seen Google move to South Africa, so there's a big move. Also Amazon, obviously. So we decided we wouldn't link to a single vendor. We want to be agnostic from the perspective that if our customer is using a specific platform, that we are able to provide the skills. But we do make sure we are certified on those vendors. So we can bring those certifications. There's definitely the training is there and the knowledge is there that any of our consultants can then work on whatever platform is required.
Right. We hear this buzzword digital transformation. We're not hearing it so much this year, but it's certainly been used a lot.
Only January, though.
Yes, exactly. Been used a lot in the last few years, and it's often in the context of cloud migrations and people looking at forklifting their internal systems and putting them on one of these mega cloud platforms.
Yeah.
Is that a part of the sort of work you do as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So even now, and I think it's surprising. We look at in South Africa. The cloud adoption started we saw that really take off probably 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I think you expect now, we kind of in that world think most people are probably in the cloud. They're not. And we're finding that already when we go out to customers that there's still a lot of need to migrate to the cloud. And then we see what is going to happen in the future, that complexity that comes with where do my different data sources sit is a problem that will need to be solved, and that is absolutely something that we would be involved in.
Great. Alexa, before we go, we can't end this conversation with talking about the hot button topic at the moment, because I'm sure it has a direct impact on the market in which you operate, and that's artificial intelligence. It is the hot topic at the moment. Is AI going to undermine in any way the sort of consulting work that you do? Because I imagine a lot of these processes are fairly, routine or repeatable.
Yeah.
How does AI play into the sort of work you do, and how is it going to transform the consulting business over the coming years?
Yeah, so I think the routine stuff, it'll be great when AI takes that over. We need to obviously go through this process of learning to trust AI. So knowing that whatever the output is what the human would have done, or better, hopefully.
Well, we
better.
know these things hallucinate at the moment, the generative AI tools, so we're probably not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. And I think that's what, if you listen to what people are speaking about, like the World Economic Forum, you can hear that there's still this definite distrust in what the output is from AI. So I think there's still a couple of years to go through before we get to that point. But certainly we're embracing this as quite an exciting trend. And I think that if I look back over our history, so if we go to the early days of data warehousing, like I said, it could take you a year to build a functional data warehouse in the early days. By the time you've actually put that result down, the customer's moved on. The business questions may be different. They've missed out on the opportunity to use their data to answer really, really burning questions that would have made a difference in their business. So I think the challenge for us is going to be that the jobs are going to be different. If we expect that we're going to be doing the same thing in 5 years' time, that's probably not the case. So it's more about embracing what AI will bring for us, what it will be able to do that we would have had to do in the past. Clever people don't really want to be busy doing that type of work. So I think it's more of an opportunity than anything else. And the types of questions that we're going to ask are going to be entirely different.
Do we ever reach a point where the AI gets so good that it starts to replace a lot of the work that consultants do?
So I think it'll replace some work.
Yeah.
As I said, I think the basic work.
The basic stuff. But I'm thinking of the more advanced stuff. Does AI
I think it will help. I think it will certainly support us. In terms, if you look at results that come out of analytics, we probably wouldn't even have thought of some of the questions that we can now ask.
Yeah.
So I think that's where things will be very different, is we'll start thinking about things that we never knew existed. But the creativity that a human brings to the table, at the moment, I don't think that will be replaced by AI.
For now.
For now.
Alexa, fascinating conversation. If anyone wants to learn more about Calybre, what's the best way of doing that? I presume you have a website. What's the address?
We have a website, so that's www.calybre.global.
That's Calybre with a Y.
Calybre with a Y, so CALYBRE.global. And we're on LinkedIn, so all of us are on LinkedIn, and very happy if people want to reach out and chat. We would love that.
Fantastic. Alexa Bisschops is CEO of New Age Data Consultancy Calybre. Best of luck growing the business, and thanks for sharing your insights with TechCentral.
Duncan.
Thank you.
Thank you.